Introducing Fighting Fridays. Every Friday, I'll post a new pub battles video. So be sure and subscribe and never miss a battle. Here we have the reserve cards. We've got Green, Sullivan, Washington, Armstrong, and Smallwood. On the map, there's just the cube. These are what the cube represents. A little fog of war in the battle. Also, it's a lot easier just to move cubes when you're starting out than to move whole core every time. Here we have my 8 dice lined up for each of the 8 turns. The black 8-sider marking the turn we're on. And on each die, in this case turn 3 and turn 5, are any reinforcements that are due to come in. And these are the Hessians that come in on day 2 if the battle continues. We have the American forces sweeping down, capture Germantown on the way to free Philadelphia. General Howe has moved up with forces, and here in Cliveden, or Chew House, we have a small element of Abercrombie's light troops. Now, for game purposes, that's how that looks. I stack them on end. Just gonna look, they're just a little detachment, all filled up in the stone and nearly impregnable Chew House. Now today, Howe's plan is to run a flanking unit, like Cornwallis does, all the way up and around and attack from the flank and from behind. It always works for General Cornwallis. It should work for General Howe. General Kniphausen comes in on turn 3, and General Cornwallis comes in on turn 5. Let us begin. Now at Germantown, there was thick fog all day, reducing line of sight to 1/3 of a measuring stick. This means artillery cannot bombard. Its only effect will be in close combat. It's all grape today, boys. It's all grape. In the early morning, the Queen's Rangers ride out in a flanking move. Howe's main forces creep forward, and his secret flanking force circles wide to the west. Here we have Green and Sullivan moving in from the northeast. We have Smallwood and Armstrong coming down Manatawny Road. Looks like they're going to run smack dab into Cornwallis's troops. Now, one of the advantages of playing two-fisted solitaire like I do is if I was playing somebody, they would see these flanking forces on each side. They'd know pretty much where everyone was. Playing solo, I can use a kind of logical reaction fog of war. They have no idea what's going on, and this is just going to simulate the fog of war. I'm going to recreate the battle. It's now mid-morning. Alright, here we are mid-morning and the game is afoot. Howe has surprised the militia in column coming down the road. That's not going to be good for the militia. Washington is attacking the detachment in Chew House. Sullivan is deploying into line. And Green is engaging the Queen's Rangers. The main British force has established its line. We'll begin with Matthew's attack here. The militia is swept aside, but not before it causes some consternation to the British troops. Washington's assault on Cliveden. The Continentals fall back. This is a tougher nut to crack than we anticipated. Green's attack on the Queen's Rangers. The Rangers hop back on their horses and ride off, but both sides are worse for the exchange. It's now late morning. Kniphausen arrives. Howe's elite troops have stopped Armstrong's militia drive. Now Armstrong does have a couple detachments of regulars, Continentals, to stiffen his line. But Howe is no fool. He's deployed and reorganized his forces. Washington's troops have reorganized and reassaulted Cliveden, with help from some of Sullivan's troops. Although this looks like a flank attack, Chew House cannot be flanked. So it's just 2 regular attacks. It took till late morning, but Cliveden finally fell. Here we have Green's attack on the Queen's Rangers. And they simply mount their horses and ride off. And now it's early afternoon. After lunch, the militia and the Continentals, under Armstrong, harass the British and fall back. Sullivan and Green form up their line as the Rangers cause consternation on Green's left. And again, after holding them up, they simply fall back. And now it's mid-afternoon. Cornwallis and his grenadiers will be arriving. After frittering too much time away at Shoe House, Washington orders the attack. Cornwallis has arrived with his grenadiers. Since all is quiet in the center, he's bringing them around to the flank to bolster Howe's drive. It's mid-afternoon. The main American assault comes alive. Armstrong and Smallwood continue to frustrate Howe on the British left. Washington's troops encounter some detachments and sweep them aside. In the center, Sullivan's troops take heavy losses. Except on Sullivan's left, they rout the British and the bags are exposed. It's now dinner time. It's down to whoever moves first. If Sullivan moves first, he can attack the bags and win the game. Except these bags are not unpacked. The British will be able to move them out of the way. Cornwallis hears the commotion, forms into line, and moves the British grenadiers towards the sound of the action. Armstrong and Smallwood continue their excellent delaying action, frustrating Howe's drive. Washington and Sullivan try to reform some semblance of the line, and Greene attacks full on the British right. The fighting was desperate and inconclusive. It's early evening. Sullivan deploys bags and attacks the British line. The British had deployed their bags, and Greene files through a break in the line and contacts them. With the Colonials breaking through the line, panic runs rife through the British lines, and they fall back. Washington has won Germantown. Good game.